Hello, I am here today to talk to you about some ways to support our EL learners, how to be culturally inclusive, and how to make connections to the home and the community when talking about our classes. There are a lot of cultural influences on learning and teaching. Every single student that comes into class is bringing a different set of experiences and a different culture. Same goes for teachers. We all have experiences and influences that have led up to our lives of us teaching our students, and it's important that we recognize those. Some influences may be obvious, such as race, geographical location, or the family dynamic, and there are many other influences that are a little more subtle but still very impactful. Pop culture has begun to play a much larger role in learning and teaching as students have more access to the internet than ever before. These influences change the way that students might communicate with their teachers, how they might approach solving a problem, or their perception of authority. One example is some students' cultures may place a large emphasis on being respectful and listening to others, while another culture values more open discussion and a little less turn-taking. This affects how teachers plan to communicate with their students. In a similar fashion, every teacher has preconceived ideas about what a classroom should look like, about how their students might communicate with them, or how a student might think they're being respectful when maybe they're not, to what that teacher might think. If students are not given clear expectations, the teacher may see it as a sign of disrespect when they ask a question without raising their hand or if they try to hop into the discussion. Part of being an effective teacher is recognizing when your students might be coming from, where your students might be coming from, as well as recognizing the biases that you have toward a student or maybe a group of students. It can be easy to fall into the trap of seeing only one side of the student and immediately judging them before they get a chance or before they get a second chance. Some students may take time to warm up to certain teachers, or they might just be misbehaving because they are nervous or embarrassed. There's a lot of different reasons that students might misbehave, as we all know. Conversations and research are paramount in making sure that students feel safe and welcome within the classroom. There are more than a couple strategies to make EL students feel safe, welcome, and seen within the class. Providing culturally relevant texts or resources can help students identify with their learning instead of being shown resources from only the majority. Providing time for students to discuss or research in their native language helps them not only with their content learning, but also helps show students that you understand how hard it is to constantly be learning in a different language than they might be used to. Beyond simple translation is providing students with accommodations to assist with their English language journey. Tools like guided visuals or scaffolding can help students learn English throughout their content learning. Explicit and intentional instruction around content vocabulary is so important to continue to build EL students' confidence and understanding with both, again, English and the content. One very simple way to make EL students feel welcome is to let them use their voice. Let them discuss their ideas with small groups or students around them. In large groups, hopefully you can get them the confidence to talk in front of a whole large group, or let them demonstrate their learning in their preferred medium. All these strategies might seem a little bit small, but when they continue to build on each other, your classroom becomes inviting and safe, students build confidence, they're more engaged, and they have a better learning experience. The recognition and acceptance of students' backgrounds is important when considering learning, but also when talking about social interactions. A student can feel safe and welcomed with their teacher while still being alienated with a lot of the students. It takes intentional effort to remind the class to not laugh at response or put someone down for giving a wrong answer. Teaching all students, especially those who are ELs, that making a mistake is part of the learning process. It's incredibly important in building an environment where student feels safe. If they feel like they can't fail, then they're not going to try. It may ruin their entire year if they feel like a student puts them down for not understanding, so it can be important as a teacher to stick up for these students and tell them that, hey, maybe you didn't get the answer right, but you tried, and that's what I'm looking for. They will feel respected and they will feel welcomed, hopefully. Creating a safe place for EL students goes beyond just one teacher. If any teacher makes an EL student feel unwelcome, that makes them just a little bit jaded. For EL students feel truly welcomed, the entire school staff must be on board with similar practice and language surrounding EL students. One culturally ignorant teacher, like I had said, can ruin the hard work and the effort of multiple teachers. Other techniques include reframing your mindset when it comes to your EL students. Many teachers may see them as a burden or a student who is not capable. The ability to speak 2 different languages and learn in every content area in a second language is an incredible feat. These students should be praised for their efforts, not seen as less than. Instead of focusing on language skills that they lack, praise them for progress they have made, or maybe if they were able to demonstrate their knowledge using English. This continues to show students that you recognize their hard work and their differences instead of making them feel alienated. Those small steps, such as correct pronunciation of their name or cultural representation, can go a very long way in helping them succeed at the highest level. It's important to recognize that EL students are enduring the challenge of a dual language learning and that they may need additional resources to help. This means succeeding in learning not only in learning, but also socially and emotionally. Continue to focus on their bilingualism as an asset, not a deficit. Creating clear expectations and routines are techniques that help with this substantially. Students have a lot of pressures put on them, and they tend to be a lot of unknowns, and at times, a language barrier. If you can help create routines where they know what to do when they come in, how to handle assignments, how to handle discussions, how to handle just being in a class full of students that might talk differently than they do. It's very important. They can help lower their anxiety, and that's when they can finally focus on learning instead of everything going on around them. Almost every teacher would agree that routines and procedures are necessary to manage a class of middle and high school students, just how it is. The influence of culture and social-emotional learning must also be considered when creating the routines and procedures. Teaching students that simple cultural norms such as personal space, eye contacts, or taking turns is necessary to make sure that every student feels comfortable and understood. If students don't understand what is expected of them, they will feel personally attacked when there's disciplinary action. Many cultures may differ on what these routines should look like, so if a student doesn't know what you expect as a teacher, they will start to feel uncomfortable in the classroom. Teaching them to handle their emotions in their native language or teaching them how to interact socially with others can go a long way in helping them feel welcomed and included. Also, just making sure that there's the correct understanding. English language learning students need to be comfortable in interacting with their peers as much as their future education or careers rely on the fact that you almost always have to interact with those around you. Taking the time to teach students these life skills beyond your content shows them that you care about their success outside of your classroom. A student who builds trust with their teacher will always succeed at a higher level than a student who doesn't trust their teacher. A teacher must understand what the family and what the community practices around a student as well. Just like every student is different, so is their family and community. These facts shape how an EL student might learn, and teachers can use some of these facts to connect the student's life to their learning. This increases engagement, it increases comprehension, and it also gives students access to real-world understanding. Teaching them English is more powerful when they understand why it's important instead of simply doing it because an adult told them to. It promotes autonomy as well as real-life understanding. Bilingualism within the family and community also happens to enhance students' cognitive function. That in turn increases their ability in taking in information and learning how to be a member of American society. There are so many times we get to be able to critical think and solve problems. The connection to a student's community or family goes a long way in helping understand why it's important. If teachers are not building these simple connections, the teaching will continue to become more difficult. Now that we know that it's important to make these connections, how do we do it? First one is one we've already talked about, and that's just building trust with your student. Building trust can also extend to building trust with the family as well. Inviting families to meet with you or communicate with you on their expertise helps families get involved. What do they do for work? What are some of their hobbies? What are things that they know a lot about and they can share about? It shows students how the knowledge that they're accruing can be connected to real life. This can also be a time to encourage families to still show the importance of the negative language to build confidence in their child. At times, there are parents who will focus on the fact that they need to be learning English all the time and that their native language kind of falls behind. It actually helps. like we've talked about. These connections can also become a gateway with partnering with larger community organizations as a whole. These connections can show students, again, more real-world examples, as well as increase the resources that we as teachers have to use within our classes. The connections to the community will help everyone involved create a more robust learning experience for everyone, and in turn, doing exactly what we set out to do, and that is helping the next generation become a better society. Thank you.